Be sure to listen, like, share, and subscribe for all the latest episodes, news, and updates. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at fistfights.friedricepodcast or at H8L.muay thai. On Twitter, follow us at H8L_Fight Talk.
To show you that your garden karate is so much nonsense. And that's quite easy to do. I know Kung Fu.
Show me. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of H8L Presents Fistfights and Fried Rice. I am your host, Taz, and joined with me, as always, from parts unknown, the man, the myth, the legend known as Deku.
Usman is the MMA wrestler GOAT.
The man that needs no introduction, cool as a cucumber, cool as the opposite side of the pillow. The man, the myth, the human encyclopedia known as the Rain Man of Martial Arts, A1, Mr. Justice Magnificent.
What's going on, y'all?
And another individual who needs absolutely no true introduction at all, where words truly cannot do him justice, known as half man, half breakfast sandwich, Uncle McGriddles.
Bacon, eggs, cheese, a little bit of maple syrup. What's going on?
And my spirit animal, UTBABYA.
Yo, yo, yo.
What is going on, fellas? How are you guys doing this evening?
Doing well.
Cool, man. Relaxing.
That is what I like to hear. Well, once again, this is episode 7, and we are talking about bare knuckle fighting. Did you guys have a chance to check out some of the bare knuckle organizations that we're going to be looking into tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I found myself almost a little desensitized because I spent like the last handful of days just watching nothing but bare knuckle fighting. And, you know, I have to say, when you engulf yourself in so much bare knuckle boxing and Vale Tudo and Lethwei, it makes me look at MMA a little differently.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. Like,
Yeah.
This ain't, it's really not so bad.
Like, you guys remember when UFC had the tagline, "As real as it gets"? After watching some of these fights and some of these organizations, I think they're going to need to no longer trademark that and give that up to the first bare knuckle organization that takes it.
For sure. I mean, UFC used to be as real as it gets, and then they started adding rules. I say this all the time. I long for the days when the clock started at 0 and counted up.
Bro, fuck,
Like,
dude,
what?
fuck the clock. You know you're in for some real shit when the first thing that happens to you is you get legally punched in the dick. That's when you know you're in a real fight.
That was brutal, man.
Keith Hackney.
Like, can you imagine, like, you're just at the gym and you're thinking about the different game plans and what strategies you're going to use, and your coach is like, hey, hit him in the dick. And just keep hitting him in the dick. And if that doesn't work,
That's funny.
squeeze the dick. Punch the dick.
Like
Twist the
Kamar
dick.
Usman.
I was going to say, it's what champions are made of, right there.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into it, as we like to do on this show, we like to showcase local restaurants, local entrepreneurs, local food eateries. Deku, would you be so kind as to let us know, what are we eating today?
Yeah. Never get tired of that. Okay, guys, what we're eating today. It's a food truck by the name of Smoking Joe's Mobile Dinner. They serve all American food, burgers, hot dogs, fries. They even serve spaghetti, a little bit of everything. But their best thing they're known for is their fried chicken. The fried chicken is so good, it makes you wanna smack your ex-girlfriend wife. Sorry, Carissa. The fried chicken will make you smack your ex-girlfriend. It is that good. Again, Smoking Joe's Mobile Dinner. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. It's actually three people that own this. They have like 3 locations. They just have different catering trucks all throughout Gastonia. I'd like to give a shout out to Joe Elliott, Shalonda Speller, and Naisha Murphy. They're childhood friends. They just got together. You know what? Make you want to smack his girlfriend.
Deku, as always, I appreciate it, boss man. UTBABYA. Let me pick your brain real quick.
Yeah, what you got?
Bareknuckle. What are your thoughts on it, sir? Seeing how we went back to the as real as it gets comment, do you find anything more visceral than bare-knuckle fighting?
No, only bare-knuckle fighting. That's really what every sport is pretending to do. Every sport is like a distillation where you remove some violence from like actual fighting. I just gravitate right towards the most violent thing. You're just throwing bones. You're not using any you're not reinforcing stuff. You're not gloving it up. Try to take your body and smash someone else with it. And it's, to me, it's actually way more fun to watch. It's a much more sort of strategic fight because you don't have the luxury of having padding and protecting your hands. I don't think there's anything better, man.
Uncle McGriddles, same question to you, sir. You being a connoisseur of combat, if you will, do you find anything more visceral than that of bare-knuckle fighting?
Nah, there's like a certain weird excitement to it. It almost feels like wrong to enjoy it, but it definitely changes the way boxing works more than I thought it would after watching a bunch of bare knuckle shit before this. Like, they're a lot more tentative with their strikes. The strikes are more damaging, and they also have to worry about protecting their hands, which isn't like a concern otherwise. But yeah, there's something just raw and exciting about it, almost to the point where I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, if somebody walked in right now, I might turn this off like it was porn or something.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, sir, now correct me if I'm wrong. You just discovered Lethwei, correct?
Yeah, just
yeah.
like a week or so ago. I couldn't even believe Lethwei exists, but go on.
Oh, the Rain Man of martial arts. Another connoisseur of combat. Same question to you. Do you find anything more visceral than that of bare-knuckle fighting?
For me, it kind of depends on which promotion. Some of them are better than others.
True.
And I prefer the term bare-knuckle boxing. And to quote Roger Mayweather, most people don't know shit about boxing. But it depends on what promotion, and we'll get into that.
Deku, same question to you, sir. Anything more visceral than bare-knuckle?
I feel like it's pure. There's no hand wraps. There's no gloves. It's just pretty much bare fists. And as a fight fan, I love watching it. I mean, I don't know if it's ever going to be prominent or big in the United States, but like right now, to be honest with you, I'm like back and forth between like the old backyard boxing and like Kimbo and all bare knuckle boxing UK recently. Okay. And man, those fights are fucking brutal, man. Like I said, as a fan, I'm like, my favorite will always be Lethwei. I love Lethwei.
All right, well, since I left off on you, let me ask you this. In your own words, which ones are you just not feeling?
The one that I'm not, I mean, I kind of like, if I didn't like one of them, it would have to Valor Bare Knuckle US.
You're fucking high. What?
Yeah, I mean, I like all of them. If I had to pick one that I just going by the rules, I guess, you know.
What?
Elaborate, please, sir.
What? Hey, hang on. Okay, because we have BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. We got the one you now hate, Valor BK. You know,
I don't hate it. I mean, I don't really watch that organization that much. That's what I mean by that.
Dude, that had one of the greatest bare knuckle knockouts I have ever seen. I'm really shocked. I figured you would have gone with like the fucking the one that Boss Rutan was a part of, that WBKFF bullshit, the one where they weren't paying fighters.
See, I don't even like. Okay, well, I watched the Boss Rutan shit. I even forgot that even happened. They weren't paying people shit. I forgot that whole thing happened, to be honest with you.
For me personally, out of all the ones that I binged watched over the last handful of days, I think that one's probably at the top of my list of like shit organizations. Was the fucking World Bareknuckle Fighting Federation. First off, that's just too many letters, and that name was just way too long.
Yeah.
And it was fucking boring. Did you guys see that main event between, was it Chris Lieben and Phil Baroni? One of the worst bare-knuckle matches in the world.
That wasn't BKFC, that was something else?
No, that was WBKFF. The world's.
I did not see that.
Yeah, if you ever want to just waste 6 minutes of your life and watch a bare-knuckle boxing match where there are 3 punches thrown, you should watch that. Chris Lieben versus the crippler, Chris Lieben versus the New York badass Phil Baroni, who, which, by the way, has a pedigree in boxing, does not throw a single punch.
Maybe just scared of, like, Chris Lieben's just...
Man, he got knocked clean the fuck out. So, fuck it, let's start with Valor, since, Deku fucking hates it.
No, I don't hate it.
What the hell, man?
I know.
That's I'm correct with some examples, because those are strong words, sir.
Oh my God, I feel like I was set up.
No, you weren't set up. That is not what I thought you were going to pick. Well, Valor BK, brought to us by a one living legend known as Ken Shamrock. What do you guys think of Valor, for those who got a chance to see it? Because clearly Deku didn't watch it.
Yeah, so Valor is like, I mean, I gotta say, of all the bare knuckle, other than like Lethwei, proper bare knuckle leagues, I mean, Valor really is the only one right now that seems to have a significant level of talent in it. I mean, I see things that look like trained people fighting. A few of these leagues, man, I love that they're doing it, but I mean, it's like the old days of the UFC, only more so. It's like, tough guys that got into bar fights just swinging wildly on some of these leagues.
A lot of people were quick to shit on it at first when it was first announced, because it was going to be run and brought to us by Ken Shamrock, so a lot of people really weren't taking it seriously. The moment that I saw the fucking fight pit was the exact same pit from World Combat League, I knew we were in for some good shit.
I need to go and watch it. I need to go and watch it, because I didn't know they had the pit. That changes everything. Like,
dude,
it's like
everything.
No like ropes or like no cages to like battle.
Nope.
Like it's it got to change your whole like game plan. Fighting style is different.
What I liked about Valor, as opposed to a lot of the other organizations, everyone knew exactly what they were getting into. Whether they lived to tell the tale or not is a different story, but they knew exactly what they were getting into. Mark Hand of God Beer laid
Good
out
Lord.
one of the greatest single fucking knockouts I had ever seen. And I recommend this to anyone that is a fan of knockouts. If you're just a fan of watching human life leave someone's body
In one shot.
dude, watch.
What's the guy's name?
Mark Godbeer.
It is the most brutal down the pike punch I've ever seen. It's even worse than the one that Lennox Lewis got knocked out with.
By Hasim Rockman.
It's just a phenomenal punch.
The way his body hits that canvas is unreal.
Oh.
It honestly looks like he stood up and then his heart just said, you know what? Fuck it. And just shut off. And his body
like
just...
blood sport shit.
Dude, yes. Mark Godbeer...
Like boxing blood sport shit. Yeah.
Mark Godbeer, as far as I'm concerned, is bare knuckle royalty. He's already a bare knuckle boxing champion in the UK, and now he's a bare knuckle boxing champion here in the States. I want to say he's the first or one of the only few to ever hold 2 bare knuckle titles simultaneously at the exact same time. The only gripe that I have about Valor BK, honestly, is the stretchy pants. No ropes, no ring, no cage, no hand wraps of any kind. It's just bare knuckles.
Yeah.
As it should be. Like I said, not taking anything away from other organizations like BKFC. I think what BKFC is doing is fantastic. I mean, they've had 11 events so far, and from what I looked at, all of them have been very entertaining. I think it's great.
Jesus Christ.
Did you see the knockout?
Jesus, oh my gosh. I mean, this is like the first like 10 seconds. I don't think it's the fight you're talking about, but it's what's his name? Jack the Outlaw versus oh my gosh, Mark Hansa. Goodness gracious, he is dead.
Yeah.
He is like, give him some milk.
Yeah.
He just gets on his knees and bows. So this ain't no fucking martial arts shit.
Yeah, Mark Godbeer's the truth.
Okay. I like it.
McGriddles, what bare knuckles have you? What bare knuckle organizations have you been checking out?
I've been watching BKFC. Honestly, I didn't know much about Valor. I actually just turned it on because I got to see this Godbeer knockout y'all talking about.
It'll change your
And
fucking
he's
life.
dead. No, he died. He died.
Everyone on Earth needs to see that.
Yes.
That knockout.
That needs to be put up on a fucking billboard right in front of every major highway, so people know that this could happen to you.
Oh shit, James McSweeney, he fights in his organization too?
Yeah, don't blink. That fight's over pretty quick too.
Yeah, I've been mostly watching BKFC, mainly because I had that recent event, and pretty much anything on, especially combat sports, I'll be watching it. But I like the spectacle of it, but it's undeniable that it looks like a tough man competition most of the time. They do have some legitimate guys, and they're exciting to watch. I think they have like the best prospect of moving forward successfully, other than beside Valor, because it seems like a lot of guys and girls now. I think Beck Rawlings is one of their champions. Like once they're done with UFC, it's like another place you can go get a check, and I think they're going to get more fighters with name recognition than you might see elsewhere. But I hope they both do well. I do agree the fucking stretchy pants of Valor is pretty weird.
I like the stretchy pants. You know,
I'm not gonna lie.
Like
I actually kind of like it too. I stayed silent on the matter, but I'm kind of digging it.
I think I'm probably biased because if I wore them, people would just call the police like right away.
Get that Amber Alert thing going.
Like stretchy pants and like tights. Oh, he's up. He's alive. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it takes him a minute though.
Yeah, people wasn't even clapping. It was silent.
Yeah,
Like,
they watched a
started
legal
clapping.
murder. But I do like the BKFC product. I think one of the things that they're doing, but not only by putting on, events or whatever, they actually have very entertaining cards, and I like their ring setup. They're at least separating themselves from other organizations.
It's been winning me over.
Well, I think one of the things that I'm feeling about the whole bare knuckle scene is the fact that you have to be very cerebral when it comes to bare knuckle fighting. Like the days of hiding behind the 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 ounce boxing gloves in leagues like this are non-existent. There's nowhere to hide. Like, you have to be able to rely on head movement and shoulder rolls and this and that. But I think McGriddles hit the nail on the head. A lot of these do come across as tough man fights, but I think that's also one of the draws to it. As BKFC has shown with some of the legit boxers that they've brought in, that style of look at me, be as slicker than average, that shit don't work when there's no gloves. That's one of the things I like about BKFC's ring. I like the fact that it's just a circular ring. Like, you're no matter where you go, you have to fight. You can't hide in the corner. You can't lean up against the ropes and rope-a-dope style. None of that shit's gonna work when it comes to bare knuckle. So I like the fact that it forces you to change your strategy. So UTBABYA, which organizations are you feeling, sir, besides Valor?
I will say think it's BKB in the UK. They fight in like between barrels of hay, basically. I do kind of like that old pugilist feel to it.
Dude, some of those are painful to watch. I mean, they're entertaining as fuck, but it's like, man.
I know. It's hard though, man. That's why I gravitated so much towards Valor, is because the level of competition there is actually skilled.
But I also think that's one of the appeals to BKB in the UK, because it's literally open to anybody. You could die.
Yeah, well, and that's just it, right? Like, as someone who, has loved the study and discipline of violence my whole life, we really need to get away from that whole idea of, oh, yeah, anyone can fight. You're probably going to get fucked up, and you could get yourself killed. While I like the idea of, oh, yeah, anyone can get in and scrap, if you got the heart for it or whatever. Yeah, that sounds good, but at the same time, I feel like it's super irresponsible, especially in the times that we live in when people are soft as shit.
I think all these organizations right direction to really make the sport of bare knuckle fighting grow. The Dada 5000 and Kimbo Slice, backyard boxing events that took place all over Florida. People looked at those and was like, oh, that's nothing more than human cockfighting. Oh, that should be banned. That should be illegal. Yada yada yada. When you look at the Kimbo Slices and the Dada 5000s, they weren't doing anything in the backyards of Florida that they weren't already doing and have been doing for damn near hundreds of years in the UK. And with that being said, in terms of black eyes and negative spots in sport, I have to call out the World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation. And this was an organization, I'm not going to say it was run by Bas Rutten, but I think he was just more or less a paper president of the particular company. But what ended up happening was, had an inaugural event. A number of combat sports veterans from different organizations had all came in. They had secured like a TV deal. They had secured all these sponsors. They did a lot to really try to legitimize bare knuckle boxing. They brought in, a lot of the boxing commentators and so forth. And then it came out that after the event was over, several of the fighters had not gotten paid. Crisley even went so far as to sue them for $90,000 in unpaid salaries for his fight with Phil Baroni. And I believe Phil Baroni also put out a lawsuit against them in regards to fighters missing pay. And it was a number of fighters that still did not get paid even till this day. And it's right now, they don't know if WBKFF is even going to be coming back. And it also put it like a really negative look on Bas Rutten, seeing how he was the president of this particular organization.
I was actually thinking, when you talk about like the black eye on the sport, when we did legalities last time, we talked about that guy who died in like the late 1800s. I think because like the general public probably still associates it with like death like that. And I think, just real quick, I think after watching it, like it sounds like it's more dangerous than it is. Like you can actually see guys get dropped really quick. The fight's over, and then it's like he probably took less damage in a boxing fight. But I think one of the biggest things is like the rules back then. Like when that guy died, they could fight for like 2 hours, and it's like, dude, I think that's where the perception human cockfighting comes. Because now when you have rules like bare knuckle fighting championship, there's just way less chance somebody's going to get like seriously fucking hurt.
Unless you're fighting Mark Godbeer, then you're gonna die.
Yeah, so unless
Want to die?
When you're
There's a death sentence.
Yeah, when you're fighting a human fucking juggernaut, yeah, good luck. I don't want to say it's solely on Bas Rutten, because I wasn't there, so I don't know what the fuck conversations went behind closed doors. But if I was Bas Rutten, I would try to do everything I could to try to help these fighters get their money that's owed to them. Or that puts a negative spot on the sport, and it makes people think like, okay, here it is, just these organizations popping up overnight, selling pipe dreams to these fighters, getting fans invested in this shit, only to find out that they don't even have fucking money, and they're going to be here today and gone today. And that's why I was glad to see that BKFC has done so many events. Clearly, they're doing something right for them to be on like damn near 10 or 11 events. And I hope Valor follows suit, and I hope Dada 5000's BYB Brawl, I hope, does the same. And myself and Laos had the privilege of going out to BYB and meeting Dada 5000 and cornering a fighter from H8L in a bare knuckle cage match. And that match is actually available to see on YouTube. And I recommend anybody that has an interest in checking out the fight to check it out. Go out to YouTube, type in BYB Brawl. Brawl for it all. And the women's fight, a Christine Stanley Knuckles versus a Lionheart Latoya Burton, representing H8L, stole the show. Absolutely stole the show. Latoya took this fight on short notice. On a whim, she came into H8L. We didn't have a whole lot of time to formulate game plans. We didn't have a whole lot of time to really go over the dynamics of bare knuckle boxing. She had done some boxing before, but never bare knuckle. And they were fighting in something called the trigon. And the trigon is a triangle, but it's an acute triangle. So one of the corners is actually sharper than the other. And they called that corner the third man in the ring. And they called it that because if you got trapped in that corner, you were fucked. You were not getting out of there. it was such a tight angle that once your body was wedged in there, you can't draw your hands back to fight. You can't do shit. And one of the things that set BYB apart from a lot of these other organizations, they allowed all closed fist techniques. So you could do hammer fists, backhands, spinning backhands, mace hands, which that was different compared to a lot of these other bare knuckle boxing organizations. So you had guys that were basically winning fights, throwing these techniques that, most boxers wouldn't know how to deal with. So I had to give Dada 5000 a lot of credit for that. He had brought in cats like Dean Thomas, for commentary, and myself and Laos had an absolute field day running around and, promoting the gym and basically selling this story of Latoya Burton and how she was the greatest fighter in the entire universe. And it went so well that myself and Laos, as well as the gym will be featured in the Dada 5000 documentary Dogfight 2, which will be airing on Netflix at some point. So, we're excited about that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was advise anybody to go see that fight. Like, that was a great fight.
Yeah, she held it down, man. She undersized and did not have the experience, but man, she was a fucking trooper, an absolute trooper. And I can honestly say that I was honored to be in her corner. And I'm going to put the link out there, so that everyone can see the fight and everyone can see the event. It was totally worth checking out. Good production, great production. The lighting. They put on one hell of a show. And I really hope Dada 5000 can capitalize on that and keep putting on more events. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about Lethwei. And for those of you who don't know what Lethwei is the Burmese style of boxing. And what separates Lethwei from that of Muay Thai or Muay Thai is the fact that it is the art of 9 limbs. Punches, knees, kicks, elbows, and the head. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk Lethwei. And we are back. So, I got to hit you up there, Uncle McGriddles, since you just discovered Lethwei. What are your thoughts on it, sir?
I had no idea it existed. But to find something that's like more brutal than Thai boxing was just like insane. Like, as I've watched more of it and you find out even more insane shit about it, like, it's hard to believe it even exists. Like, one of the thing that still gets me, which is just insane, is the fact that a guy can be knocked out and they give him a chance to come back. It's like, dude, like, that is so insanely dangerous. But it's like the addition of headbutts is fucking crazy. It's just wildly exciting. And the best thing about it, compared to like the bare knuckle shit in America, is like the fighters are actually really good. So yeah. It's way more exciting than what we have been talking about, which I don't think there'll be too much disagreement here about that.
In Japan, they have already been repping this shit. There's an organization, and they have a YouTube channel, and I can't recommend it enough for if you guys want to whet your palate with something besides, like, the World Lethwei Championships, which is still fantastic. If you want to see fighters like, David Leduc get his start, you should check out, I want to say it's International Lethwei of Japan. It is fantastic. And they put the majority of their fights out there on YouTube in like the order in which they've been released. So you can watch how they went from like just being in little teeny tiny gymnasiums to actually being in like these world-class auditoriums and stadiums. And I can't recommend it enough. You'll see a who's who of individuals that are famous in the Lethwei world, and it's a beauty to uphold. It's amazing. UTBABYA, you ever check out any Lethwei?
Oh yeah, I fucking love Lethwei. I really hope it expands and comes over here and they start getting more and more talent, because that's they've got some talent. But I love seeing the headbutts too, because I did not realize there was such a variety of headbutts that would be effective in knocking people the fuck out. So yeah, man, I am a huge fan of Lethwei now.
Nice. Justice, what about yourself, sir?
For me, it's crazy. I found out about Lethwei through Black Belt magazine, like back in the late 90s. They were doing an article on Bando, which is like a combination of See, they was doing it's like a combination of all the Burmese martial arts. So once YouTube hit, David Leduc, he's cool. He's making him popular. I'm not gonna go into him yet, but I saw Cyrus Washington. He was fighting Tun. So yeah, that was it. One FC was looking and trying to do it, but they haven't really did anything yet. But they're supposed to be trying to put on some Lethwei fights.
That is the only real gripe that I have about that organization I was talking about, the International Lethwei Federation of Japan. They do the headbutts, the elbows, the throws, the dumps. They do all of that, but the way that their hands are wrapped, you can tell there's still a decent amount of padding around those knuckles. And I know they do that for fighter safety, and then they do that so that way their hands don't get broken as fast. But I just think that prolongs fights that should have ended off one or two punches. They tend to make the fights drag out a little longer.
Do they if someone gets knocked out, do they allow the 2 minutes for you to wake back up?
Oh yeah,
and that they do.
Yep.
Okay,
they follow all the same. They follow all the same rules as Lethwei. They just kind of pad up those hands a little bit. But yeah, you get knocked the fuck out, you'll see the corner go in there and splash water on your face and fan you off and walk your ass around the ring until your ass is ready to get back out there and fight.
But the World Lethwei League doesn't do that. They do rounds and 10 count.
I hate that shit. As much as I like the World Lethwei League, I do. It's just that's not the art. The art is if you get knocked the fuck out and you can still, get your wits and bearings about yourselves, and you still want to continue fighting, I say let them fight.
Yeah, you gotta keep it pure, and that's why, I'm just kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but I don't want it to be mainstream. I don't want it to get watered down, because that's what's going to happen. If it ever does get very, popular in the United States, it'll be watered down. They'll try to add some Chinese kickboxing gloves or some shit like that, or let's take away the 2 minute, if you get knocked out type deal.
That's fair. Like I know one thing they'll definitely get rid of if it ever goes mainstream. They'll get rid of that 12-6 elbow, because in Lethwei you can 12-6 people on the top of the skull and the back of the spine if they clinch you up.
As it fucking should be.
Agreed.
Yeah. I was saying, I'm rewatching this Tonton and David Ledoux fight right now, and yeah, this shit's not gonna happen in the United States. No way.
Yeah.
Listen, first of all, Tonton was not supposed to be fighting Ledoux if they had weight classes. He's in a weight class he shouldn't be.
Nah.
But right. That's like 90% of David Ledoux's fights. You know what? Let me not get on my soapbox. Let me not do it.
No, it's time.
No, you're right, though.
It's time.
Yeah,
it's time.
You know what? Fuck it. You know what? We're already talking about
everyone knows.
I respect David Leduc for what he has done in terms of helping to popularize Lethwei. But for fuck's sake, bro, you mean to tell me you can't find anybody in your own weight class to fight? Again, not to shit on this dude's legacy, but for fuck's sake, dude, fight someone your own size. And you can't tell me that there's nobody out there. That's bullshit. I know there is.
You know what? No, I want. The only reason I want Dave Leduc to come to House of Eight Limbs is so that we can all train together and share knowledge, and he can show us some of them fucking like how to put headbutts into clinch combos and shit. Like that's. I do want to learn that shit. Because that motherfucker is training that shit on goddamn pads.
His pad work is sort of a masterpiece.
I just wish he would fight somebody in his
right
own weight class.
Combination is he's deadly.
Yeah.
Because even Cyrus Washington, I follow him on Instagram. He's saying something about the rematch, and he's waiting on them to contact him. But I don't think he should take the rematch. I'm pretty much like you. I think he needs to find somebody in his weight class, not guys like Seth Bashtinsky, who, he was solid, but he does not have a striking pedigree to be in Lethwei at all. Had no business in there.
Let me ask you guys something. With them talking about putting Muay Thai in the Olympics, you guys think that's going to be shit, or you guys think that'll be worth checking out?
That'd be great, man.
They're going to water that bitch down, too.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't think I'm doing it full rule.
You don't think so?
They're gonna walk.
You think like maybe what? Like maybe like pads for elbows, or just no elbows at all? Because if that's the case, it's just fucking kickboxing.
I have no idea what they would do to it, but
It'll say Muay Thai, but it'll be K1 rules, like with the clinch.
Oh,
It'll
I would be surprised if they allow knees.
No, I think they'll allow knees.
man.
Maybe not to the head though. It'll be something crazy. Because again, Olympics, you still have to consider is amateur sports.
That's
So
true.
even like with boxing, they don't promote the knockout, but if you get the knockout, you're fine. Deontay Wilder is a bronze medalist. We talking about he ain't scoring no damn points.
I really,
Yeah.
My thing is this. I feel like I'm supposed to know this, but why don't they allow pro boxers to fight in the Olympics? For
Well,
United States?
that's supposed to change at the next Olympics.
But why was that a rule in the first place?
Because it was basically, again, amateur. But then when countries like Cuba and Russia and even other smaller countries, those guys are amateur for years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have, they state funded. So yeah,
Which essentially
And
makes
they're
them
staying
professionals. They're just not labeled as professionals.
Exactly. All right, so let me ask you guys this then. So, since we're all fans of Lethwei, how do you guys compare Lethwei to the old school Brazilian Vale Tudo fights from back in the day?
yeah.
I
Because those
love soccer
motherfuckers were brutal.
So what were the rules in those? I think those were very similar to the old school UFC where it was like no biting,
No biting,
Maybe
no
no
fish
shots.
hooking, no eye gouging.
no eye gouging.
Now, if you're fighting in IVC, no biting, no fish hooking, no small finger joint manipulation. Everything else goes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were fucking brutal. You could stomp a dude when they were on the ground. You could soccer kick them. You could punch them in the fucking dick to get to escape their guard. Like, I mean, this shit was fucking brutal. Like, I went back and I looked at early Vanderlei Silva. That dude was a thing of nightmares.
There was a reason they called him the Axe Murderer.
Yeah, he looked like a fucking gorilla that escaped from a zoo and decided, I hate mankind, and I am going to run up to the first living thing that I see and kill it. And there's nothing anyone can do to stop it.
It's for me, basically, the closer you get to anything goes that I can use in the street is what I'm interested in. Well, and the other thing is, like, just a few of these rules did completely change the way fights take place. The no striking the back of the head on a downed opponent. I don't know if you guys remember Vitor's first UFC when he beat Tank Abbott and then that like Jersey Italian dude. I mean, that was the go-to. He took this big dude's back and just started fucking raining fists on the back of his head. And McCarthy just stepped in because like the dude couldn't really do anything. I mean, he just kind of covered and caught a couple and then kind of was out of it. And it's over. Especially if you start throwing elbows.
Go ahead, Rain Man.
Well, I object to that statement.
What?
Well, Scott Ferozzo had the stomach like of 3 pregnant women.
Yeah.
He caught about 5 or 6 to the head, but McCarthy stepped in, but he was getting up. He was about to get up, and he was gonna grab Vitor. Vitor, in my opinion,
Okay, so first of all, I mean, yeah, for sure, fine. Except when you realize that Vitor dropped him with a single straight left when he tried to come in the first time, and then Vitor just fucking threw him around on the ground because he was roided to the teeth. I don't know if you remember when he tried to take him down, and Vitor just pushed him all the way across the cage. You gotta remember, this is when Vitor had traps that went from the bottom of his ears to the outside point of his shoulder. I mean, he was a silverback in there. Like this was a different time. But my point was just like, fights will look different if you can throw 12 to 6 elbows to the back of a dude's head.
Dude, I remember my first watching my very first Vale Tudo match, and I'll never forget it because it had Gary Goodridge, and this man stuck his hand into his opponent's shorts and crushed his fucking testicles. And I remember watching this, and I'm like, wait a second, this dude is this dude is headbutting people to death. They're elbowing people whose heads are pinned up against the mat. You can punch them in the dick and smash their testicles. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. If this shit is gonna go mainstream, they're gonna have to introduce shit like gloves and weight classes and shit like that. I remember organizations like Rain Man might remember this. Remember Jungle Fight?
Oh,
Yeah, I remember Jungle Fight.
Founded by Waleed Ismail. That shit was crazy. It was like a free-for-all. Those early events, the whole early Vale Tudo scene was just fucking brutal. And this is going to sound kind of fucked, but I wish that there were still televised bouts of rivalry between like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu cats and the Luta Livre fighters. And for you old heads who remember the early days, and I'm not going to call it MMA because MMA wasn't a thing. MMA didn't exist back then. It was NHB, no holds barred. Vale Tudo. The wars between the Luta Livre fighters and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys was epic. Absolutely epic. And that was one of the things that separated like Brazil and Japan from a lot of these other countries when it came to the bare knuckle fight scene is they just let it go. They didn't give a fuck. Whatever happened. And whatever it took to put asses in seats. Let me ask Uncle McGriddles and Deku this. Deku, I'll start with you. If you're dealing with a casual, a normie, someone that doesn't really know anything about the history of NHB or bare knuckle, but they're showing an interest, what organization or where would you point them to first in order to get them familiarized and acclimated with the current sport of either MMA or bare knuckle?
I would direct them towards a documentary. The Choke with Hicks and Gracie. If you want to get into anything, no holds bar, the documentary Choke. Oh my god, it's to this day it's such a good documentary about Vale Tudo, the earliest days of MMA, and it's pretty much in its creation. That you should start with that.
Uncle McGriddles, same question to you, sir. If you're dealing with like a casual or a normie, and they're asking you about, instead of MMA, they're asking you about bare knuckle, whether it be bare knuckle MMA or bare knuckle Lethwei or bare knuckle boxing, where would you direct them to?
I would actually agree with Deku, man. I would utilize YouTube and probably point them in the direction of a documentary as well.
Nice.
My concern because the main thing I think is probably easy for people to find on TV and stuff is probably Bareknuckle Fighting Championship.
Okay.
So that's like the most current, the most relevant. They just offered Mike Tyson $20 million, so I think that could probably get somebody's interest in it. But my concern is if they tune into the wrong fight, they're just going to see the Tough Man show. And so I think if you started with Choke or something like that, like he was talking about, then you can put the sport in a proper context and kind of see what's going on.
Okay.
Instead of just jumping right into like extras from like a Jason Statham prison movie, just beating the shit out of each other. Like there is an actual sport there. So I agree with Deku.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that, fellas. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is our movie review of the craptacular karate flick. Uncle McGriddles, if you would be as so kind as to give us our movie synopsis.
All right.
And now, our feature presentation.
So fucking our movie we're talking about is In Hell, a 2003 Jean-Claude Van Damme film. Jean-Claude Van Damme, the king of like blockbuster, like the video store, not like a blockbuster movie, but straight to blockbuster action movies. His classics like Time Cop and shit like this. But yeah, this is a 2003 one of his movies. It's basically his wife gets killed by Russian mobsters or something. And then it was actually a pretty badass scene. This movie kind of like waxes and wanes. There are some good scenes and there are just plenty of crap. But one of the good scenes was how we get Jean-Claude Van Damme in the Russian prison. is the guy kills his wife. It's like some corrupt trial, and the guy gets off, and then JCVD just fucking guns him down right in the courthouse. Fucking, it's pretty badass. And they do that whole scene well. You actually feel sympathy for his wife. The whole thing seems super 90s in the beginning. Like I couldn't believe it was in the 2000s. Like, but
I really thought this movie came out in the 90s.
Yeah, it really does have that feel. But yeah, so he goes to prison. It's like, dude, this movie is not the fucking Shawshank Redemption by a mile. But it goes through all the tropes. You know, he's got trouble in the yard. They're inexplicably doing chain gang work. They're like building a railroad or something. Like it's fucking 1875. But yeah, he makes friends there. You might be shocked to learn that the warden runs a fight, a fighting promotion in his jail, and has everybody fight, blah blah blah. And they go into this thing where JCVD is basically becoming an animal, which actually is one of the cool scenes. He like snaps and like bites this dude's neck off basically, and the guy's like just gushing blood, and he's covered in blood, and he's like long-haired castaway JCVD at this point, and he's just like screaming and stuff. But there's a few good scenes. I didn't like the fight scenes that much. A lot of it looked like pro wrestling kind of stuff.
Okay, that's where I actually have to disagree with you. I was
gonna say that's some hell of a combo.
You know, okay, and for me, and again, I'm just speaking as a JCVD fan. The reason why I enjoyed the fight scenes in this movie is because they weren't the typical punch, pause, kick, pause, jump in the air, 360 split kick, slow motion yell, tear my shirt off, look at my abs, jump down into a fucking split JCVD shit that you see in all these other movies. I like the fact of he went to prison and didn't know how to fight. This dude had no scrapping skills at all, and basically learned how to fight by getting his ass whooped repeatedly. I mean, hell, his first day he gets fucking dropped. His second day he gets dropped. His third day he is just getting his ass whooped.
Definitely gets his ass beat.
And even when he goes fucking feral and bites this dude's neck and spits his fucking, jugular vein out into the air, and he's screaming like an animal, this dude still has no scrapping skills. And I think that was a pretty good turn for what we're used to seeing for JCVD films.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting role. It was different from the normal JCVD. I'll definitely give him credit for that. I don't know, they didn't do that much for me as far as the fight scenes. He did pull some, he did an armbar from guard at one point. He had somebody inside.
A shitty armbar.
It was a horrible armbar.
Yeah. But, does anyone know? Sorry to interrupt. Does anyone know who the Russian guy who was like the bully who he ends up ripping his throat out? Does anyone know who that guy was? Because he looked like he was the suplex he pulled looked like this dude was some kind of fucking Olympian.
The overhead belly to belly suplex.
Oh my god, it was granted choreographed, but it was textbook. There was some decent sambo going on there. It looked like
because I was like, for this to be so-called acting, the moves that he are hitting are he's been doing it for years actually.
Yeah, it was legit.
He's like the sub boss, and then JCVD is this whole time his mentor in his jail cell is Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence fucking Taylor.
Fucking amazing.
Lawrence fucking
Taylor. What the fuck
Taylor.
You doing in a Russian prison?
Dude, that was one of my main things. Everybody in this prison is so obviously not Russian. It's insane. There's scenes where they just give up on their accents. They don't even fucking care anymore. But basically, the movie had the theory: if we put the big fuzzy hat on any white person, they are a Russian, and it comes off so weird. But so JCV beats the sub boss, finds himself with Lawrence Taylor or whatever, and this is the most insane climax to a movie I've ever seen. Okay, so this 8-foot tall Mick Foley looking goofball with a mask comes out because JCVD won't fight somebody. I can't even remember how the fuck we got to this situation. But
it was a cross between Kane and the fucking guy from the Goonies.
Yes.
You guys are
just,
missing one of the most important cameos ever.
Oh, dude, who the fuck is this person?
Glad you asked. Was in this movie. A1 Paulo Tosha, a South African martial artist. The name may not sound very familiar to you, but he was the bald-headed gang leader that approached the random Hispanic gang leader in this Russian prison to form a truce when Van Damme's character was hanging from the fucking light pole and refused to fight.
Oh, shit.
Now, you may not recognize his face right away, but there is a movie that he is in that we all know and love because we adore his character in this movie. He was Paco in Bloodsport, the Muay Thai fighter.
Nice.
Wow.
Stop playing.
Pretty
Get
cool.
out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mankind / Abyss Kane gets killed. There's a prison riot. I'm going through this. It's so nonsensical. Like, you could spend 5 hours and it wouldn't make any fucking sense. Jean-Claude Van Damme somehow gets in like a costume in a car. He gets one of the guard costumes and drives out. Also, one last thing about Lawrence Taylor. He is mysteriously appearing in like random fucking rooms around this building. Like, they have no security whatsoever, dude. He's in the vents and shit. He's in the warden's office. They never bother explaining like any of this shit. It's just fucking crazy. But all in all, it's one of those movies. It's a departure for JCVD. There are some good scenes. It's fucking crazy. I think it's worth watching. If you're a JCVD fan, you can't fucking go wrong. But yeah, I give it like 2.5.
Oh, you're fucking tripping, dude. This movie is worth a solid 3.5.
You know, I can respect that because
every
judge looks it around differently.
He doesn't do JCVD doesn't do a single split in this fucking movie, and that had to be torture for him. He doesn't do a single jumping, spinning, anything. There are no head kicks from him unless you're on the ground and he soccer punts your head to the fucking moon.
So one of the things I noticed is when he was throwing punches, it actually looked like he didn't know how to throw a punch.
Yeah, and that's the genius of his fight scenes. He's literally self-taught. That's why his arm bars look like shit. That's why his takedowns look like shit. His ground and pound is fucking laughable. It looks like shit. When he's hanging his fucking bed up against the wall and he's punching it, he looks like shit. Everything that he's doing looks like an untrained individual who's solely fighting out of necessity, but there's no one there to actually teach him. He's learning based upon getting his ass whooped. Bare knuckle style.
Kept feeling bad for Billy Cooper, who was like the young kid who went in there with JCVD at the same time, which is like another movie
constantly getting raped.
Every scene.
He lost 10 rounds in that prison.
Every scene, you see the kid and you're like, oh, he's getting raped.
Yeah, he was basically only there just to get raped.
Like, it didn't matter what scene it was. This kid could be sitting in the fucking cafeteria and you're like, yep, he's getting raped. Oh, they brought in the Mario Pujanowski looking guy. Yep, he's getting raped. Oh, Van Damme's running in the rain and he's cheering him on. Yep, he's going to get raped.
Oh, I forgot to mention that Lawrence Taylor sets a man in a wheelchair on fire out of nowhere. That was fucking excellent.
Like a boss.
Like a boss.
And watches him, dude, lights him on fire, watches him die, then casually strolls to the warden's office, kills him, and starts drinking his fucking liquor.
Yeah.
No. Doesn't just kill him. Pulls his fucking tongue out.
That's right, I left that out. Pulls his fucking tongue out and sits back and enjoys his cognac.
Fucking tongue out and then drinks his cognac. Lawrence Taylor is the hero of this movie.
His backstory is so fucking random. He's just a random black kid in a classroom, and the teacher's like, hey, come to my house.
So
and I guess the teacher, I don't guess, the teacher clearly molests him. And in retaliation for that molestation, he lights him on fire, watches him burn, and then develops a fear for fire.
Yeah, this movie, my main takeaway from this movie was that the director had a terrible childhood.
What I got from this was the director hated Russians. There's not a
Yeah,
there's not
probably.
a single redeeming Russian in this entire movie. Even the motivation for the Russian attacking Van Damme's wife is paper thin. This dude's just on a construction site, and here comes fucking Rico Suave with his hair slicked back and his leather jacket, and just attacks her for reasons completely unknown.
One thing the director did
that threw me off. Like, so he went to her house, I guess tried to rape her, killed her, but for what?
Yeah.
What's the reasoning? Did JCVD's character owe them some money? Did they do a favor for him? Just
You're never
I
giving
mean, just
up.
the Russians were shady. That was the moral.
But even how he got into the house was questionable as fuck, because he basically just walked to the front door.
Yeah, it's true.
He literally just walks in and chases her around, gets ready to rape her. She's not putting up any type of a fight or a struggle. She's like, well, fuck it, it's gonna happen, so I'd rather just live. Dude stabs her anyway, and I don't know where he hides when Van Damme gets there, but you literally see him walk off camera. Van Damme walks in maybe 2 steps behind him, sees his wife. Oh shit, there she is. Dude blocks, like, with his like weird ninjetti 6 spider sense, can sense that the guy is going to hit him from behind, blocks his attack, chases him on foot into, I believe it's like a bus or some shit, and they have the world's saddest I don't know how to fight fist fight from 2 individuals that clearly can't fight at all. And
That was rough to watch.
Somehow fall through the window of the bus, and only Van Damme gets arrested.
Yeah, I wouldn't call this a masterpiece of movie making.
you can tell it was clearly made in 2003.
This was a labor of love, sir. Someone was like, you know what, Jean-Claude? You're getting up there in age, man, and it's not time for you to be in the Expendables Part 2 yet. So this is what we're going to do. No helicopter kicks, no splits, no tank tops, no short shorts. You're just going to be a dude, and you can't fight. You can't fight for shit. But you're going to learn by getting your ass whooped and watching Billy get raped. We're making it a point to let everyone know that Billy is to be the only one in this prison.
Yeah, that was a pretty central theme in this movie, wasn't it?
It was. His only role was to give moral support and then be raped. Put up no type of fight, but just be raped.
It was non-existent, dude.
Oh no, that dude had no stance, no ground game, no nothing. All in all, like I said, I would give this movie about a good solid 3.5. How about yourself, Deku?
This movie was trash.
You're smoking dick.
Still.
You fucking Usman fan. Fuck you.
I will say this: the fight scenes were a lot better than the previous movies that we the shitty like storyline, the plot, the Lawrence Taylor. Really, to be honest with you, he pretty much kept me in the movie because it wasn't saying much, just giving great advice, not really saying much or whatever and anything, and just the way he acted, the way he portrayed himself in the movie was just like a boss, like a G. Like every scene, little Billy just gets raped. They seize him. Yeah, this movie was just straight trash, doggy shit. Fucking doo-doo sickles, boo-boo balls, boo-boo sickles, and on a side of just straight up when a dog had shit and just rubbing his butt on the carpet. I give it a fucking 1.
All right, UTBABYA, yourself.
Okay, I give it. JCVD gets a half a point for just showing up and then also pretending to not be able to fight at all.
Okay.
So that worked. The sub boss Russian dude adds a full point for his sambo and wrestling skills.
Okay.
Lawrence Taylor adds 2 points because it's fucking LT, and he really does make the movie. I agree with McGriddles. He makes the movie. I'll give this one a 3.5. It was entertaining.
Justice, your rating, sir.
I agree with UTBABYA. It gets a 3.5, and solely just because of the sub boss, his sambo.
You sure you want to stick with your vote there, Uncle McGriddles, or that's your final call?
Yeah, 2.5 is. I think I'm being generous. One thing.
I mean, they had a whole leather masked gimp. I'm shocked you didn't give a shit about that.
Dude, the craziest thing about this movie, which I forgot to mention, is that the narrator, Lawrence Taylor, doesn't show up for like halfway through the fucking movie, dude. Like, what movie do you know where the narrator starts like so late? Unless I'm just insane. I didn't notice Lawrence Taylor narrating till like halfway through that thing.
Well, I didn't know that they were in fucking cellies until like dude started working out. Because the majority of the time he was in the fucking hole half the time. I was like, when did LT become your fucking cellmate? And when did he start giving you words of wisdom?
Yeah, and narrating the film.
Narrating the film. I did like when JCVD finally does cut his hair. He slicks that shit back and has a fucking soul patch.
Yeah. Dude.
I ain't gonna lie, that was a badass hairstyle.
Dude, that facial hair. Woo!
That was a hell of a soul patch.
That was...
Takes you back to Double Impact, right?
That's exactly what vibes I got. I was like, oh, he's the bad twin brother. Okay, I got you. All right. Oh, well, that concludes our movie review for today. Justice, would you be so kind as to provide us with the technique of the day?
Improve your skills, son. Harden your body. Become the number one man. Do not ever let anyone beat you.
All right. So, Andre is the sub boss's name, and everybody's talking about the suplex he performed. We know, wrestling fans, we know it's familiar. It is a Northern Light suplex. Great suplex. Looks good. Will not work in a street fight, but it looks good in wrestling.
I don't know, man.
Are you sure?
Are
you sure?
I don't know, man.
So, Northern Light suplex is pretty much your head is up under his armpit, and you have him wrapped around the waist, and you're pretty much going to go over your head, and you're going to bridge as you land.
Yeah.
Pretty much landing on your head. Yeah.
It's similar to the belly to belly overhead.
Wait, is it belly? Oh, so it's belly to belly, but with your head underneath his arm?
Correct. So
basically,
easy.
Why would that not work?
Basically, picture a front headlock,
and then you
basically flip and bridge backwards.
Yeah.
So what if I hold on to the headlock?
Your head hits the pavement?
Yeah. So it will not work.
Your head hits the pavement.
Dude, I can tell you, like, in high school, plenty of times where it worked. Well, I've gotten into the fights, dude try to go for a guillotine, and I straight up clamped him up overhead, Northern Light suplex. By the time dude was in mid-air, he let go, and I just dropped him. Just straight dropped him on his head. That shit does work.
Yeah, you wouldn't even need to finish the suplex. You just get him up over your back, and you can't hold on to that unless he's. Oh no, man! I think we gotta test this out.
The best Northern
Light, next Underground.
The best Northern Light suplex in the game was done by Taz.
I knew you were going to say Taz.
ECW Taz had a variation of that very suplex that we're talking.
Oh, no, you will not do that.
I'm just saying. What?
No, there was Lance Storm easy.
You're smoking dick. You're fucking high.
Lance Storm, Northern Light suplex. Man, stop playing.
Fuck you. That's like basically saying, dude, what the fuck? What? Lance Storm over Taz Northern Light suplex? You're high. That's like saying Alicia Fox is the greatest WWE diva on the planet. Go fuck yourself.
No, that's not it.
Hey, Justin, I gotta side with Taz on this. Taz and Taz.
Yeah, bro. Come on, dude.
Best, like, almost any suplex ever.
Dude, Taz broke Sabu's neck with that shit. You're smoking fucking dope. Dude, I like Lance Storm. I do. But Taz was on another fucking level.
Taz did have the suplexes, but Lance Storm was the the
God.
Dollar
That was this
General
one.
Excellence at Execution.
Wow.
Wow. That's like saying the fucking man, that's like saying the Rock's sharpshooter is better than Bret Hart's. It's not,
It is.
That's not the sharpshooter. That's the Scorpion Deathlock.
bro. They were the same move.
They were. Who had it first?
I think the Rock.
Bret
Sharpshooter
fucking
is
Hart had it
better.
first. Bret Hart perfected that shit.
Who
And
had it first, and who made it look cooler?
Bret Hart.
One arm.
Bret
The
Hart.
Stinger. The Stinger.
We will not speak of that trash. That
Like
warrior
Stinger.
wannabe.
Stinger splash, leg across, one arm, both legs,
Trash.
screaming at the crowd.
Trash.
Stinger, man.
Trash.
You know what?
He didn't become.
We're gonna have to get into
He
this
didn't
later.
become relevant until he became the Crow Sting.
What? I mean, he got beat by Ric Flair like 10 times in the Four Horsemen. The Sting was.
I mean, that pretty much sums up his career right there. But yeah, you know,
pretty
anybody listen to this, I implore you, go out to YouTube, type in Taz, T-A-Z, Northern Lights Suplex, and behold the wonder of this man snapping spines with one of the greatest suplexes on the planet. Watch how he puts people through tables with his Tazplex. Now you got me thinking nostalgic. Justice! Why don't you be so kind as to take us down memory lane in regards to forgotten or underappreciated organizations and or fighters?
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
All right, so pretty much earlier in the show, you talked about IVC and all those different events. What one of the conversations where I did want to get into was if MMA would have stayed bare knuckle, and my opinion on that would have been it would have been an issue because there were a lack of stand-up fighters, except for one in the heavyweight division during the bare knuckle age, and it was the Russian freight train Igor Valchanchin, 5'11", 225, 240 pounds, head movement, low kicks, power punches for days, movement, sprawl and brawl before it was sprawl and brawl. Ask Mark Kerr, ask most Brazilians, Nick Nutter, who trained with Mark Coleman. That's why Mark Coleman had to get back in the Pride Grand Prix, the first one. Look up Igor Valchanchin. You want to see some good footwork, punches that kind of, swing hooks, if you want to call it that. But head movement, kicks, low kicks, they were there. And bare knuckle. He was knocking dudes out. Paul Varlin, 6'8", 300 pounds, made him just fold up. Easy.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot all about Igor. He's a fighter that gets lost when you think about some of the greatest heavyweights in the game. His name oftentimes gets overlooked. I definitely think he was very much overshadowed by that of Fedor.
Yeah. If Fedor is the first emperor, then Igor is definitely the second, whatever you want to call the second person in charge. Igor, he was beating the brakes off Rampage, and Rampage had to slam him like 3 times. He knocked out Sakuraba. He put it on some guys, but by that time, he had been through some wars.
Well, gentlemen, this was all I had in regards to episode 7, Bare Knuckle. We're definitely going to convene and come back and go over next week's episode. Will be episode 8, and we're going to talk what you deem as useless martial arts.
Ooh.
And we're going to ruffle a lot of feathers with this one. But that's going to be episode 8, martial arts that you just find impractical and in a way useless. It could be hard style martial arts, could be soft style. Matter of fact, I will implore all of you, make a top 10 list of martial arts that you just find impractical or useless. And I mean that as in a real fight setting, a ring setting, a cage setting, a self-defense survival setting. Could be any of those categories. But what martial arts you deem as impractical or even possibly useless. That's episode 8. Deku, Uncle McGriddles, UTBABYA, Justice Magnificent. I thank you guys for taking the time out this evening. Let's get the fuck out of here. Be sure to listen, like, share, and subscribe for all the latest episodes, news, and updates. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at fistfights.friedricepodcast or at h8l.muay On Twitter, follow us at h8l_fight talk.
When you take the pebble from my hand, it will be time for you to leave.